Hey guys, in this lecture we're going to be going over line work, or more specifically how to draw with good lines. Now when it comes to drawing, you want to have good lines, and one thing that you don't want to do is sketch it out, as in like make your lines very hairy. That is not as appealing that it may sound, it's not the best thing to do. So for this exercise we're going to be drawing over this girl. And if you recognize her, she is part of the inspiration demo. And here we are going to be lining her just a bit and just practicing on her on how to make smoother lines. So I'm going to lower the opacity on this one here. And I'm going to be using a pretty sharp brush. I would say this round brush would do great. You have that in your downloadable resources. So when it comes to line weight, I'm going to tell you what not to do. I don't want you guys to do this. And what I'm doing right now is I'm pressing my hand way too hard, so the line looks very static. Therefore, it doesn't look good. Right? So now what you actually want to do instead, I'm going to make another layer, is to have dynamics. So one way to do that is making your brush very thin, like maybe about 14, 13, and drawing lightly in one swoop. It doesn't mean to go haywire and just, do that, but keep your wrist controlled and follow the line. And sometimes it may take a few tries, but the more you practice drawing with more single swoops, as well as carefully, pulling the line closer to you and making light strokes, it will make your line work a lot better. So how to do this? So let's say if you press your pen really hard, not really too hard, but just hard enough that it will only come out with a straight line, or just, no dynamics. In this part, we're going to be using a light pressure, and then dark pressure, and then light pressure again. And what that means is that I'm just only going to lightly touch my pen onto the tablet. And then when I really want to, I want to press hard, and then to gradually go again. So this creates a more dynamic flow compared to this one. So with that in mind, let's keep on lining this just a little bit. And when it comes to bolding up your lines, you want to do it where there's edges. Like when there's a curve, you want to darken that a little bit, and as well as where there's a point, and that shows solidity. And as well as when there's a bit of an overlap or joining together of the strands, you want to, when there's also a curve, you want to make it thick, and then thin it out on the way down, so it gives a nice transition. So every time when I do line art, I like to go from the top, make that part pretty thick, make it thin, and then make it thick again when I reach the end. And same thing here. So dark, light, dark, light, and end with a point. And literally everything's just following this line here. So this part, in this case, I'm going to make this thinner, and when it joins with this line here, I'm going to make it thicker. So it has a nice transition. The reason why I do that is because, like, when I have it thin, I don't want every part here to be thin, or thick, I want this part to be thin because I like to keep the transition from a strand that's overlapping this one and having it become its own individual strand of hair later. And that's why I bolden the end instead. So it really varies depending on how you want to approach it, but keeping it light and keeping it dark on the edges here are what's going to be important in making your lines very nice. So when it comes to this part, I like it as an outline, so I keep it dark, but I don't press on it. Rather, I press on it first and then let go while moving my wrist. And that gives it that nice transition of a thick to thin line. I even like to add little lines here just to show some nice variety. But yeah, for the rest of this, for this assignment here, I want you guys to trace over this and focus on your line quality. And I'll show you guys the final one. So I'm going to stop here for now in this part. I'm not going to finish this. It's your job to finish it. I'll send you this sketch and you guys can draw over it. I'll probably send it as a low opacity version. But anyway, so some exercises to think of, or some ways to loosen up your lines, is to draw waves. And what I mean, it's kind of like draw little squiggles. So like you have one line going thin and pressing hard, going thin again, pressing hard, going thin, press hard, going thin, press hard, and do these, repeated motions. So notice how there's a lot of shape dynamics involved. Do these a bunch with your wrist pretty loose. And same with going these nice swoops here. You want to start thick and then thin, thick and then let go, thick and then let go. So doing these kind of exercises will help a lot, especially when you are first drawing as well. So even when you're sketching, your line weight needs to be good, or else everything will look very static. So as I mentioned before, you don't want your lines to look hairy, even if it's easier to do. I used to do that a lot, and all my lines looked so hairy, and I thought it was a cool thing to do, but it actually wasn't. Rather, in fact, you want to keep keep whatever line that you're drawing consistent. You can have some strokes here and there, but they have to be connected and within the same line for it to look good. So in contrast, when you have different lines going different directions, even if they're going the same kind of line here, it's a big difference if you have a short line and then continue it along. It won't look as hairy, and it will definitely look a lot better and smoother transition if you want to, make bigger lines. Like for instance, you have this one here as a sketch, and if you don't want to go through this in all in one swoop like that, what you can do is you can go little by little, but darkening the line as it goes. So you make sure you don't do that, but rather you push and stretch the ink or your pen along the curve. Sometimes if you want to go bigger steps, you can, but just be careful. And whenever you have a mistake, just press undo, Command Z. So yeah, I hope that helps a lot. Make sure that you guys show me what you guys did on this little sketch and finish it up. So yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next lecture, and hopefully this helped. Bye bye.